guys? Were you guys like just?
We're live.
Oh, you are.
Hey, we're live, and we're back. Bonfire banter. We haven't done one of these in a little while, and I'm very excited about tonight. So we got a returning guest here, Timmy the Red. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. We have Austin Grimes, first timer out here tonight. We might have to get that axe out of the ceiling and into your hands at some point.
It's fitting for tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we might just need to pull it down just for the look of it.
Sounds
but
good.
We also have Mr. Matt Cassane back again, and this was actually your idea to talk about Dahmer tonight, which is very, in the news.
When we talked about doing this a couple of weeks ago, I had just binged the whole thing in about 2 days, I think, and all 10 episodes. And so I was really, getting into the whole thing, and it was. I really felt quite insane after 2 days of each episode was about an hour, right?
Yeah.
So 10 hours of that shit, and then after you finish, we could swear, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're good.
So 10 hours of that stuff, and then oh man, I just needed to get away and not binge anything, and just walk around the block and just take my dog for long walks and just kind of let it slide.
Realize
off.
that's not everyone.
Let it slide off. I'm sure you guys. I don't know if you guys remember that because I'm a lot older than you guys. But when that happened in the early '90s, I remember it vividly. And because some of the places that he actually hung out at in Chicago, I actually went to. There was a place called Carol's Underground. And I went there to go see Cheap Trick's drummer, Bunny Carlos. He had his own offshoot, his own little kick-around band that he would do when Cheap Trick wasn't on tour. It was called the Bunny Carlos Experience. So me and my cousin went there when we were in our early 20s, maybe 20, 21, to go see Bunny play with his band. And I had no idea, at that point. This is 1986. No idea at that point what was going on with Dahmer. But it was just kind of creepy hearing all these places that he would go and frequent in Chicago. He would come to Chicago, and it wasn't just all Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He would come down here too. I don't think they really talked much about Chicago in the series, in the Netflix series.
He's from Ohio, I think, right?
He's from Ohio. I did know that. Yes.
And then most of the shit happened in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of serial killers are from Illinois. Majority of them. Right?
I mean, you have to take these kind of situations with the taxes and the politics. It's like it make anyone go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's
insane.
My property taxes for that.
I'll make a confession right now, though. I watched the first 2 episodes of the Dahmer thing, felt sick to my stomach, and I did not watch any more of it.
Yeah, kind of like what he said.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
too much.
It's dark shit, and it's real.
I was just terrified for my child afterwards. I'm I have to make sure I always have eyes on my kid now because there's freaks like this out there. I'm like, Jesus.
You're in the grocery store like that guy, definitely.
Yeah, everyone now. You look at everyone now like, you eat people, don't you? You definitely eat people.
I don't want to forget this because if I forget to say something, I don't have anything to write it down. I'll forget.
Go.
But my 56, almost 57-year-old mind won't remember it. But this young man here, your name again, sir?
Tim.
Tim is wearing a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer T-shirt.
Yeah, Michael.
Now there is a tie-in to this. I don't know if you know that or not, but the original guy. Back in the early 80s, who they convicted of killing Adam Walsh, the little boy, John Walsh's son, who went on to become the host of America's Most Wanted and all that.
I got to hit live still, right?
Yep.
Oh, we're not going?
No, on his phone.
We are.
If you want to go
That's
too.
two different things.
We got multiple lives going.
Okay.
All good.
What I was going to say is, in real life, he was a real guy. Henry was a real guy, and he hung out with this guy named Otis. Not Otis, but Otis. Ottis.
Right, yeah.
Otis Toole, and the two of them were like buddies. And they in the movie they were like buddies.
Yeah.
They made it kind of like killing buddies. It was messed
They
up.
kind of bonded over that.
But
match made in hell.
Yeah, but
way to put it,
allegedly, Otis was the guy that killed little Adam Walsh. Back in the early '80s. But as time went on, some people speculated there was some conspiracy stuff that actually that Jeffrey Dahmer was the actual culprit that killed Adam Walsh. So there's a little bit of a tie-in to your Henry shirt there.
Right, and I
But there wasn't enough evidence to make it stick.
Right, exactly. And there's theories about that kind of stuff all over the internet. I read one about how Henry Lee Lucas and Ted Bundy were possibly distant relatives.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
It makes sense.
Something in that bloodline, but I mean, I actually doubt it's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say that John Wayne Gacy had an accomplice that they never figured out who he was, and there was a lot more people that he killed that we'll never know.
There was a documentary on Netflix, I think, about the son of Sam and the theories about that he didn't work alone and he was part of some cult.
Yes, I saw
The
that.
Hand of Doom
That was
cult,
fascinating.
something like
and
that.
they had something to do with the Hollywood elite and stuff. Did you see all that crazy shit?
It went real.
Yeah.
David
Real
Berkowitz
deep,
was
yeah.
kind of insane though. I mean,
A little bit,
he
yeah.
would go outside and talk to his neighbor's black Labrador like it was a person.
Right, yeah,
And
yeah.
he thought that was possessed by a demon.
I heard
and
or
at
sorry,
least-
go on.
Yeah, and at some point you think, okay, well he's probably just saying that during court
Exactly.
The insanity
to
thing.
get out of it, right?
He said a lot
But
of
I mean, if
things.
you're willing to kill that many people and do as many terrible things he did,
Anything.
he might be fucking, he might be telling the truth. Who knows?
Yes.
Based on what he believes.
Have you guys ever had a chance to see the Summer of Sam movie by Will?
Oh, yeah.
Not Will. Spike Lee. Spike Lee.
yeah.
Spike Lee.
Yeah,
That's a great movie. I've
John
I've
Leguizamo and
seen it at least a dozen times.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
so
good
good.
one. That's
So
a good
good.
one.
Yeah, you should definitely
Adrian
check that
Brody.
out. There's some brilliant performances in that, and it's about the Summer of Sam. But yeah, the whole revelation that you were just talking about, how it went deep into the occult. And,
Right,
and
yeah.
demon worshiping, and then there was like,
And then, like, the
some big
elites of
shots in
society,
Hollywood that
yeah.
were behind it, and they financed all that shit.
Right,
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah.
crazy.
Thing that like surprised you the most about the way that Jeffrey Dahmer, murdered people?
More or less the fact that he was in an apartment in the city. Normally, like if I'm gonna be a serial killer, I'm gonna do it in the country. Like out maybe out in a garage or a cellar. Everyone
Wants
forgot
some
about.
land somewhere.
Yeah, like you want to, and you're killing people in an apartment and everyone's smelling it,
Yeah.
and you're getting rid of these bodies in the apartment, and ultimately I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, you think he got away with it for an extended period of time. You think.
A long time.
Now imagine how long someone like him has gotten away with something like that if they lived out in the middle of nowhere. It almost reminds me of like the Ed Gein stuff,
It's Ed Gein had
Yeah.
his like farmhouse and the.
Yeah, and like couches made out of human skin and stuff, like.
And then they did
Yeah, he
The
was-
Silence of the Lambs, and I think Psycho was loosely based on Ed Gein as well.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre, okay.
Yeah, so going back to Dahmer, it's like, for me, it was just kind of, like, I knew who he was. I had already seen plenty of documentaries. I know a lot of people currently, especially around my age or a little younger, they don't really know who he was or even heard of him until this documentary. And that's why people are starting to try to, like, cancel people for putting his name in their music
it's starting
and things like that.
Which is
so.
funny because even the show tackles like people made comic books about him. How like it's a Netflix series.
Yeah.
People are watching it. I mean,
I don't think it's a
that's
bad thing to have a favorite serial killer, though.
I mean, and that's a weird thing to say, but like anyone that's into serial killers has a
He
favorite,
said it.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
right?
Well,
You gotta have a favorite
Who's your
guy.
favorite?
right.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm a big Lee Harvey Oswald guy. I mean, even though he didn't kill a bunch of people, he's still one of my favorite murderers.
Okay.
One of my favorite
Yeah.
murderers.
All right, Oswald!
Oswald 2024.
Like, I do everything.
Ozzy.
This
Same
is
thing
all
as like
getting
when I
off
look
track.
at serial killers. The same thing when I look at serial killers or like football teams or something. I'm like, okay, I can put together like a list of my favorite people. Like if I had to put together a
trading
basketball team,
cards.
Yes.
and shit.
like point guard, probably Jeffrey Dahmer. John Wayne Gacy would have to play power forward. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah, but as a clown.
As a
Yeah.
clown,
Yeah.
right? And then you got Jack the Ripper. He'd have to
How
play
about
center.
Okay.
You want someone who can catch bodies at center.
Like
You know what I mean?
Slenderman? Yeah, is that a real thing? I don't know.
I mean, if it could be.
No, wait a minute. I just want to back up a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw all 10 episodes of the Netflix
I
series
did.
for Dahmer.
Yeah.
Did you see the Gacy thing?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was in the
That's
last
another
episode, and
series
they just
coming
kind
out.
of threw that
Is it
in.
really?
Yeah, they're making another
They're
series
the
on
same
him.
guys? The same guys are gonna
I'm not sure how it's going to work, but they're going to do essentially like where they make it realistic.
Oh yeah, I heard that
Thing
too.
they're going to do with John
yeah.
Wayne Gacy and some other
I'd be
serial
interested
killers.
to see that. I mean, it was really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of opinions about it right now. It's really
Yeah.
causing a stir.
Yeah.
But I mean, just having read a lot about. I mean, I was too young to know when it was actually going on, his trial and everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me ask you. I see, in 1991, when he got caught, I was 25. I was 25 or 26.
Yeah, I was 4.
I was negative,
See, that's what I'm saying.
I was -3.
Well, we had something similar back in the 60s. When I was a little kid, I was like I was just old enough, I don't remember it. But as time went on, like my parents would tell me about Richard Speck. You guys remember? You guys
Yeah.
heard of Richard
Yeah.
Speck? He was in Chicago, and one night he went into a nursing school dormitory and killed like 10 nurses in one
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
There was one little tiny nurse. She was like 4'10" or something like that. So she hid underneath one of the cots, and she saw him. She saw the tattoo on his arm. That's how they caught him. His tattoo said "Born to Raise Hell." She saw this tattoo,
Right.
"Born to Raise Hell." Yeah, so that's how they got Richard Speck.
wow.
But check that out,
Once
Richard
again,
Speck.
another Midwest guy, like you were saying.
Yeah,
earlier.
that's what I'm
kinda
saying,
what-
man. I don't know if it's the water or the new plants, but
Yeah. You know,
something's
going
changing
on.
people. I mean, since the 70s, right? It was like early 70s when like the serial killer craze kind of.
Oh, way before that. I mean,
Yeah.
Albert
I don't
Fish was
know if
around.
it's the leniency thing too. I'm not being a smartass. I'm being serious because all these guys they sat and rotted in jail for years. Dahmer probably, if that guy wouldn't have whacked him over the head with the barbell,
Yeah,
who
killed him,
knows?
yeah.
Maybe he would still be alive now. You know, you
Son
never
of Sam was
Probably
still
would.
in jail doing interviews,
Yeah.
saying wacky
Hinckley,
Getting endorsements.
shit.
Probably.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Sir
these guys have fans, like
Yeah.
actual,
Well, that's-
and then that goes back to what you were talking about with like who's your favorite serial
Yeah.
killer and why that's a weird question
Yes.
to answer. It's not like, I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I've just
Yeah.
always had an interest in dark shit.
Yeah.
true crime.
Exactly. True crime.
Yeah.
I'm in, mafiosos and everything, and
Oh, I'm big into that crime.
yeah,
we could do a whole
yeah.
mafia.
yeah,
Here's
we
the-
could have another.
here's the
You can't say mafia. Oops.
It's not real. It's not real
this
anymore.
thing
That
of
thing.
ours.
Anyways, I think it's part of. But
Edit that one out.
Gonna
If
get
you-
a strike.
if you don't want people idolizing serial killers, then you can't put their names all in the newspaper when you catch them. If you find them, then you fucking put them in jail, whatever. But you can't put it all over the newspaper. Oh, we caught this guy Jeffrey Dahmer, and then people look into it, and you're able to do it. It's like the same thing as these mass killer shooters.
Right, yeah.
If you don't want people to idolize them and be, making things
Yeah,
like this,
the media
then you
does,
can't.
yeah.
Then you can't even say their names
Yeah, the
because then
media
you shouldn't know
definitely-
who they are.
They gotta
already
make them
do, like,
disappear,
Yeah.
basically.
serial killers are kind of like almost part of pop culture now.
Yeah.
And they have been for a while.
Yeah.
And you could blame people who make horror movies about
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, or metal bands that sing about this shit in their lyrics,
Yeah.
and it's not their fault
No, it's
that
not.
this stuff
It's
is.
out
I mean,
there.
it's
Cheap
real.
Trick, my favorite band. I've talked about them earlier today, Buddy Girl. They wrote a song about Richard Speck on their first album, which came out in 1977. It was originally called The Ballad of Richard Speck, but Epic Records, owned by CBS, made him change the title to The Ballad of TV Violence for some reason. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think the craze is women like stay-at-home moms that sit at home. They're like, oh, this guy's really tough or strong. That's why, like, when I started doing my serial killer content, my viewership changed from 70% male to 70% women, which is kind of crazy.
weird.
And it's not just that. It's also guys that work in a cubicle all day and they're like, man, I could fuck everyone up in here. And they start looking at guys like, oh, he did something about it, and then. So I wonder if something's familiar. You're fine. I wonder if something's the same with like school shooters. If something's the same in their brain, where it's wired that way to think that's the way to handle a problem.
Yeah.
With mass shooters, I don't know. It's probably different because I think even if they premeditate it, they just kind of snap.
You're right. Yeah.
They take out many people at one time, whereas these guys they
Or like calculated in like.
they do it over a long period
Yeah.
of time, and sometimes they even try to stop.
Yeah.
And
Right.
It's an addiction at that point.
Right. But I think
Yeah.
that it's good to know about this stuff. I mean, it's
At least
I
makes
think
you more
everyone should
aware.
know. Exactly.
Yeah, because
I'm
then
not
you go,
saying-
yeah,
I'm
if
not
I
saying
smell
live in
something
fear.
weird coming from my next door neighbor's house, should
Yeah.
probably call the cops.
Exactly.
It could be
yeah.
just a dead raccoon.
It could be,
Yeah.
but it could also
could
be
be.
someone's butt cheeks in the freezer.
It
right?
could be. It could be.
There is
I'm stealing his content
And
now.
I
on
mean,
TikTok.
honestly, I might try a piece of butt cheek. I don't know,
And it
maybe.
looks, I mean, come on, we eat a lot of weird shit. I mean, butt cheeks probably delicious.
Joseph Metheny, I think he killed like 4 or 5 people, and I don't know a whole lot of the details except for this one, is that he ran like a sandwich stand where he sold like beef and pork sandwiches on the side.
Yeah.
You know where I'm
Soylent
going with
Green?
this.
Oh,
Yeah,
Soylent Green.
Soylent Green.
It's
yeah.
made out of people.
Hey, man, it's
And-
expensive.
No, no.
And he said,
eat 'em.
he said that in like an interview or some transcript or something from court that human meat is very similar to pork. And if you mix it in, he would mix it in with, pork.
cut
pork.
it with
yeah.
pork.
pig pork.
Yeah.
And
I know people
cut
that
it
do
with
that
pork.
with pork.
And he
What do you
said,
think the tacos were?
no, I didn't eat any of them yet, but now I will.
Yeah.
There's a movie that came out in 2017 that I found out about listening to some podcast called My Friend Dahmer.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this? You seen this
No.
one?
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's kind of low budget, but it's actually really good, and it's about Dahmer's high school years.
Yeah, when he was
Yeah, and it's pretty messed up, man. I mean, he
doing
was,
the Dahmer.
Austin, look alive.
Oh,
oh no!
got it. I still got it, guys. I might
explode, but you know.
I would have let that shit hit my face. All right, got it.
Yeah, no, it's something we do here on Bonfire. I like to toss the beers in. We have a really high completion rate.
Yeah.
We've only had one dropped in 2.5 years. So I won't name any names, but
They're probably a Packers fan too.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
probably-
I don't know. Essentially, like when I started doing Dahmer content and other serial killer content, and what we were talking about before I came on the show was, I was trying to figure out like what is really interesting to people, but also something that like I can joke around about, but it's also a serious topic where
You got to tread lightly.
yes,
Yeah.
you have to tread lightly, but it's also going to be good.
Controversial though
entertainment,
too,
right?
because the fact that it's controversial is good for
Yes.
anyone making
Good
content.
reviews, right?
Yeah.
People like that.
Yeah, and I try
outrageous
not to cross that line because, like, at heart, like I pretty much deal with everything with making a joke. I think a lot of us do probably
Yeah.
at this table.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So sometimes it's a little hard when you're explaining this stuff. Like even when I'm talking to my wife and I'm telling her about it, and I make a joke about it, she's like, "Really? You shouldn't joke about that." I'm like, but it like allows me to cope with it and deal with it in a way.
Some
where,
people do it that way.
Yeah,
and
and
it
I
makes
think-
it eases the pain of it. If you can joke about it, you're kind of getting
Yeah.
over it.
My buddy Tim Baker, a very funny comedian. I used to do a lot of gigs with him back in the day. He did a joke in Milwaukee in 1992. We were both doing the Summerfest comedy tent. They used to have a comedy station at Summerfest. It's no longer there, but and it had been a year since Dahmer got busted. And he did some kind of a joke about like, hey, what's with the expression "I shit you not"? How do you shit somebody? I think it's physically impossible to shit somebody unless you're Jeffrey Dahmer. And the place was packed.
How did they react to that?
It was a combination of shock, horror, and laughs. Shock, horror, and laughs. But anyway, Tim, I
that's a
got you
great
covered. Baker, where are you? Baker, if you're watching this, that's Tim Baker.
You can be offended by it all you
Don't
want.
get mad at me.
That's a good joke.
That's it.
Nice joke, Baker.
I hope he's doing it now because it would be
Yeah, killing right now, yeah.
Other people have said
It would
way
behoove
worse.
him
Come on.
to do it.
I mean, I think it did a great job. I mean, as far as I'm no expert. I'm just a weird guy who's always read all this shit. But I mean,
Acceptance is the first step.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Anyone who thinks that it's like exploitive or anything like that, they haven't really watched it.
Yeah.
And gotten the point of it.
I've watched a few things on YouTube. I'm a big fan of the YouTube do-it-yourself video guys. Lamont at Large. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lamont at Large.
No.
He goes around to a lot of famous crime scenes and graveyards and all this stuff. And I stumbled upon him during COVID. For some reason, there's a thing about the Burger Chef murders in Indianapolis in the late 70s popped up, and I watched this, and I was intrigued by the way he did it. He just goes around the country in a van, and he has his camera, and he just goes to all these places, and it's kind of intriguing. But he went to Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment back in 2019. Wow. And it's no longer there. They tore it down.
Right, the building's gone.
And
Yeah.
they're not allowed to build anything in this place where it was. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a patch of grass.
I think, according to the show, I don't know how true it is to real life, but talking about how she wanted to put a memorial there for the victims,
Yes.
and the city
Yeah.
wouldn't let
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
wouldn't
mean,
let her.
It
And
was
yeah.
on the show. I don't.
Oh, okay.
They
Do you
still
think-
don't have it. They said.
Do you think?
at the
Right.
end.
Do you think
Yeah.
part of, because I feel like every serial killer has that, maybe not everyone, but has that part of they kind of want to get caught, like they're doing it to him
Oh, yeah.
doing it in an apartment. Do you think that's part of his psyche there? Is it I'm gonna be so good at this that I don't give a shit that I'm right in the middle of an apartment complex.
It's like the
I don't
thrill
know.
of
I don't know.
almost being caught.
Yes,
Maybe. I
is
mean,
it
like,
you're always on the edge of being caught, or
yeah, maybe.
But getting back to the actual series, the Netflix series Dahmer, There's another video that I watched on YouTube. It's a little bit more of a fancy schmancy video, a lot of like slick editing and really good voiceover and stuff like that. Some of these do-it-yourself videos on YouTube are fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, you could really get a lot in like a 10 to 15 minute video, find out a lot. But they did a 10 critiques about the Dahmer series on Netflix, and it came out like really fast, like within a
10
few
different people giving critiques?
No, just 10 points, like a 10-point thing.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that I remember the most is that the character that was portrayed by Niecy Nash, who's one of my favorite actresses.
That was awesome.
You guys
She was the
remember?
lady that lived in the complex.
Yes,
and
do you
then-
guys remember her on Reno 911?
Yeah, she was great on Reno.
So good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That
Reno's
whole
great.
cast,
Amazing.
was aces.
It was cool to see her in a dramatic role.
Yeah,
Yes,
she did
it
good
was.
too. She killed
Yeah,
it.
here, eat this. I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
She was good, but I guess her character is a composite character. I found out. I don't know if you guys know
Yeah,
what that's about.
there was
It's another. It's her and another lady.
Right.
One lady lived in the building next to Dahmer, but there was another lady in the next
she
building
lived in another
over.
building, and she
next
was
door,
actually
yeah.
based on more. And I'm forgetting all.
She's the
names
one that
and
kept calling the
everything.
cops, I think.
Right? Yeah, and I think she was the one who was related to the two girls who found Conorak. I'm forgetting his.
Yes,
name.
yes.
The
in
kid
the
who
alley.
escaped.
Yeah,
The only one
And the
that's
walking
cops
around.
gave him back
I saw
to
the first
Dahmer.
two episodes, right? Yeah.
That is the most frustrating fucking part of that.
And
It's-
she's like, "Are you sure he's of age?" And they're like,
They
"Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
check.
he checks out."
They didn't check.
And they're like, "Okay."
They had so many opportunities, and
Oh yeah, they
Didn't-
cally 30 or 40 times.
yeah, and even there
Was
was
that
one
many times?
where he was in
Jesus.
court. He was in court for, raping some kid.
Yeah.
And the judge, you remind me of my son.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
not
he
that
was a
bad of a
drunk
guy.
too. I'm gonna give you what's like.
Yeah. You want to come over to my house tonight and hang out with my son?
It's
Pretty messed up.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of opinions about that. What's big right now is shitting on law enforcement
Yeah.
and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Stuff falls through
a
the
bunch of
cracks
people do a
sometimes,
job,
but-
some people suck at it.
Yeah, no,
That-
and that's in every profession and every
Yeah,
walk of
and,
life. There's shitty people. There's shitty people at their jobs.
And they were
There's a
talking
lot of
about
good
like
people.
Dahmer moving into that area. Like some people speculated that he maybe moved into that area because it was a predominantly black area, and that if his victims wouldn't be sought after by the cops, to they wouldn't be as willing to do justice. I don't know if that was part of
Yeah.
his thing
Or not,
but
but
To me, I don't know. I feel like you're right. Like I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head. I feel like he wasn't super intelligent, but he knew like the basics of like
well,
understanding his surroundings, right?
Yeah.
Like I know I'm 2-3 miles or whatever from where I want to be as far as the clubs are concerned, and we can walk. I can bring these guys back to my house. He set up the location to where it's easy walking distance, easy to get someone back to their house. Meanwhile, as we were talking about earlier, like I don't think he was thinking far enough ahead of, oh, the smell's gonna be bad in this apartment. I could probably get away with this as long as I
Don't think
get
he
it
thought
clean.
about that?
yeah, it's
No,
pork
I really
chops
don't
that
think
went
he did.
bad. Don't worry about it.
When
still there.
Dahmer was murdered in 1994, me and my buddy Hugh Calloway, we were doing a weekly comedy segment at WLUP Radio, the Loop Radio, on Wendy Snyder and Tony Fitzpatrick's show, and we wrote a song. And Hugh knew how to play guitar.
Dahmer song.
Yeah, the Dahmer song. And I would like to sing that for you.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
And I want, when I point to you guys, you're going to sing it along with me. So it's real easy. Okay. So when I point to you guys, you just ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll sing the first part.
Okay.
And then the next part is the same part, but you guys all sing it with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Dahmer.
Hey.
What? No. I'll point.
I'm bad at
Same
it.
thing. I have to write it, dude.
When I point to you guys. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
No, don't do it. Okay. Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Jeffrey Dahmer's dead. All right, ready? Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Hey, Dahmer, what you doing now? Jeffrey Dahmer's dead.
That's a banger right
That's
there.
a banger. I think we can, put a beat behind that.
Yeah,
thing.
I'll tell you what. Give me a guitar. I'll make something.
By the way,
happen.
Tony Fitzpatrick, if you guys don't know about him, is a famous artist, and he became famous, and this ties into this, and sometime in the 80s, he drew a series of paintings of all serial killers, and I believe one of them was Henry. and I think Gacy and Speck and maybe a couple of other guys, and it drew a lot of national attention to Tony. Now his gallery was originally in Villa Park, right across the street from where Moore Brewery is. Now, if you go across the street, right across the street from Moore Brewery is a club called the Al-Anon Club or a Conan Club or something like that.
Oh yeah,
a Nona Club.
Al-Anon is
Yes, but Tony's art gallery was originally part in there. They had like this tiny little tiny space that they let Tony rent. Okay. Now, if you look on the sign, there's a sign. It used to be there anyway. Documenting all the things that had happened at that place, and Tony Fitzpatrick's gallery is also mentioned there too. But he became very famous, and he was recognized by a very famous director, the guy that did Married to the Mob. Do you guys remember who did that one?
Jonathan Demme.
Yeah.
So Demme. He did Silence of the Lambs too.
He did. So he put Tony. So he became a huge fan of Tony's, and he bought like all his artwork at some big show in New York, and it put Tony on the map. Tony wound up doing all these famous things. He did a bunch of album covers for the Neville Brothers. I think he also did artwork for the soundtrack of a film with Ray Liotta called Something Wild. So the way I found out about Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer was because of Tony Fitzpatrick and his partner at the Loop radio station, Buzz Gilman. These guys used to have a weekly radio segment called Drive-In Reviews, which eventually got picked up by Comedy Central for a very short, limited time, and it was on at like 2 a.m. They would only show like slasher films.
Yeah.
And they would review like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a
Kinda cool.
Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be fun, man.
Tony Fitzpatrick, everybody, check him out.
Okay.
I have to.
And he's a great
I'll
he's a
check
great
him out,
actor,
sure.
great actor. He really is.
Can I ask everyone a question real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
Do you- I'm going to go one at a time.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Dahmer's dad having him cut up the roadkill was a part of who he became, or do you think he was already...
I think that's a good question, man.
Yeah.
That's a nice father-son bonding.
Yeah,
moment,
well,
isn't it?
I mean,
I could have fished with my grandma all the time, man. I was fine.
I think all that was I think it was already in him at that point.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of nurturing that.
And then that kind of just I don't know. I mean, lots of dads take their sons hunting.
Yeah, I know,
and
but
do shit like
hunting
that.
and dealing with roadkill, it's smashed up and the guts are hanging out, and then you're dissecting
Well, there's also
roadkill.
people who are into taxidermy.
No,
who
I
do
get
stuff
that, but
I mean, it's
Like
it
people that
is-
work at morgues and stuff.
Well, I mean,
you already have something
I
like that
think
in
it
you.
obviously did have something to do with it.
Yeah.
It
Right.
taught him how to, dissolve, bodies,
Yeah.
and find out how to like strip all the flesh off to get the bones and
yeah.
yeah. I mean, he kind of like it's almost like
It's gateway drug.
the Columbine shooters' dads, showed him how to shoot a gun.
Well, you're
It
talking
was-
about Jeff's early life when he was in Ohio. If you watch that film I was talking about called My Friend Dahmer,
Yeah.
it's all about that. It's like 2 hours. Of
Right,
all that
it's all
stuff.
leading up to
Really
it,
digs
yeah.
deep into that whole period of his life. Now, the funny part about it is his mom, Jeffrey Dahmer's mom, in that movie is played by Anne Heche,
Oh no shit.
that crazy actress who just passed away.
Yeah,
Remember?
that's right.
Set
yeah.
somebody's house on fire or some shit.
Yeah, I know some girls like that.
Crazy ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, they're dead too.
I mean, they moved states, thank God, bro. But, moved. No, I'm just kidding.
But to answer your question, I think it had something to do with it.
I would agree.
Just a
I would agree
small
with that.
bit, but
Like, not like a huge
And
portion of
I
it,
think
though,
it's
right?
to Timmy's point though, is it probably was in the darkness was already in him, but I
Yes.
think that it had he picked up tennis at that age, like maybe wouldn't be
he'd
killing
be-
people, maybe
yeah.
he wouldn't be killing people, maybe he'd be thinking about killing
Or-
people, but doing it because he
would
didn't
just
know
kill tennis
he wouldn't have the
players.
know-how.
Or he'd be killing people with tennis rackets.
Yeah, I mean it's
I'm sorry, bro. Imagine you're walking down the road and you
John
see a
McEnroe
tennis
used to
ball.
get really mad. John McEnroe used to slam some rackets. I mean, I guess if you
He's
hit somebody
probably
hard enough
killed
with a
someone,
tennis
I think,
racket, you could probably
Yeah.
kill him. It'd
Yeah,
be a lot harder though. I mean, it's not a great murder weapon.
Well, the other question I have too is, did the grandma have dementia before? Like he moved out or after? Because remember when they went back and they were asking her questions?
Yeah.
And she didn't know where she was. Did she have dementia
Oh,
while he was living there? That's why she didn't know that people were getting cut up.
Maybe that's a maybe.
I think the grandma was in on it.
Was she eating some of the meat with him?
Yeah.
She showed him how to make a good
Hard
stew.
times, man.
Who knew?
She's probably grew up in the Depression and shit. She's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah,
like, you know what? We got all this free meat here. I mean, might as well make a stew.
Meat's
I can
expensive.
guarantee
Throw me a thigh.
I can guarantee you
Get
she
some
ate,
potatoes.
she ate a lot of horse meat back in the Depression.
And this was probably way more tender than that, you know?
Yeah, probably. I've heard. I'm not saying I know by experience, but based on what I've read,
Yeah.
Humans not that bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You just don't eat the brain. You just don't eat the brain.
Okay.
Yeah, get
Because the
kuru.
brain have what are those
kuru.
called? What is it called? Kuru?
Kuru is like the disease that you can get from eating human brains. There was
Yeah.
I read about this in 7th grade. It was actually part of my science classes.
And look at you
It was-
not eating
Who
people.
was your son? Good for you.
Chicken and fish all the time.
And then they have a rap song, "Don't eat the brain." Don't eat the brain.
No, but there was a
Mix that in
study.
under the other one.
There was a study about.
Insane to the.
There was a study
That
about
might be what that song's about.
cannibal tribes in the Amazon and stuff who
Yeah.
would eat. If they ate human brains, they would get this disease called kuru.
It's like mad cow
And-
disease.
Yeah,
Kinda,
I guess
yeah.
you know, but man,
There's a
man
word for
disease.
it. There's a word. Basically, every brain of a species has a certain amount of this. I think it's like tachylites, or I can't remember the name for it. But basically, if you overload on those by eating the same species brain, then you get mad cow disease. That's how cows.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you just eat like a leg or something.
So
you're
you just
fine.
got it, everything in moderation. You know,
Yeah,
a
exactly.
little bit of everything's
Yeah.
brain.
Did they ever come out
be
and
good,
say
right?
the actual name of the chocolate factory where Dahmer was working in Wisconsin?
Ambrosia chocolate factory.
What did they make? It was like those little candy.
Chocolate.
Really? It's not like a famous.
Really?
It's not like like the little Santa Claus guys, right? Was that the?
I don't know.
No,
I have
you
no
don't know?
idea. The only reason I know there was along with like reading about this stuff, there is a band from Chicago called Macabre. They're a death metal band who, sing about serial killers exclusively. And one of their albums is just called Dahmer, and each song is like the story of a different part of his life.
Oh, that's cool.
From beginning to end. And I think that might have helped fuel it.
Is the guy like that Cookie Monster voice kind of guy? This is Jeffrey Dahmer. This is Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, there's a.
He is going to eat you. Careful, everybody.
So you've heard the song then.
So you're familiar with McCall.
You sing for them, I guess. Yeah.
So you play that often? How often do you listen to this album?
I was listening to it on the way here.
Yeah, you were getting in the fucking.
But I got news for you. Their songs are nowhere near as good as the one that I just sang a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that was
That was a good.
No,
That was a good
I'm
song.
gonna have to agree.
That's a good
If I was
song.
gonna eat people, that'd be the song I like.
exactly.
Have you guys ever noticed that cauliflower, like when you chop it up, looks like a brain?
Yeah, yes.
Isn't it? Don't you feel like weird when you're eating? It's like maybe this is some kind of like weird plant brain.
Plant
Well,
brain.
cauliflower
This is making
and
sense.
broccoli
actually.
are man-made. So, did you know that?
Who's that?
Yeah, cauliflower and broccoli are man-made.
I did not know that.
They're not natural to Earth. I
Joe,
like that.
We should have done this as the Bears guys. It's necrophilia, my friend.
Good sausage.
Jokes about necrophilia. Great.
Tony started having
Not
flashbacks.
good.
Proper podcast. Without
There was a girl.
crack open a cold.
I tell you though, that guy was a good Dahmer, man.
Yeah, he was.
He's a creep. I mean, definitely creeps me out. I never want to see that guy in real life now because, like, I know that he's not Dahmer, but like, I don't want to be around that guy. It's for
I
sure.
might let him eat a piece of me.
No.
Depending on the day.
Where though? What part?
A toe, maybe?
A
Maybe.
toe? A whole toe?
Not a big one.
I think you take a small chunk out of my calf.
Not a big
like
toe.
a small chunk.
Maybe a quarter of a middle
No,
toe.
dude, you're gonna give up a whole toe. You only got 10 of those.
No, like
bro.
a quarter of a middle toe.
A quarter of a middle toe.
I think this video is gonna get flagged. I don't know.
Okay, if you were gonna let somebody eat a piece of you, what piece?
My mom's watching this right now. I'm gonna get home. There's nothing funny about that, Matthew. Nothing funny at all.
So back to my question.
I know you're proud, Mom.
Where are they
I know you're
taking?
proud.
Where are you taking?
I'm thinking of Uncle Buck, and just a little off the shoulders.
Just a little bit off the shoulder.
But then everyone's gonna call you slant shoulder and stuff. 'cause you're gonna be
Slanty
walking
shoulder?
like this.
Oh man.
You're
He has the
walking
least
like this,
words,
uneven. You know, you gotta look at.
Yeah,
Hey, I'll just treat it like a
going with
lean,
like
man.
a chunk of my calf. You take a nice chunk of my calf, just like a cube.
Yeah,
little
yeah.
cute
You know, I got a lot of thigh.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean-
all right, Matt, where are you letting him take
Man-made.
from? If Dahmer just wants to take a taste of you, where?
Broccoli is man-made.
Okay, we confirmed by young Tony over there that.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Broccoli is man-made.
I am validated.
I was gonna
I'm glad I learned
about
something.
to chime in with that.
Here we go.
Yes, it is man-made.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now that Rob said it, it's for sure.
Thank you, Facebook.
Bonfire banter is an education.
Rob, is Tony? Hang on 1 second. Is Tony in the background of your shot?
Yeah,
Can you make that happen? If not,
How's it going?
Tony's our professional Googler.
there he is.
You know, I don't want to. Can I just drift into another kind of psycho dude?
Yeah,
that I
please.
just discovered, and I cannot verify whether or not this man actually murdered another human being. But my money is that he did. Good money. I'm putting money down. Have you guys ever heard of this dude? He was the lead singer for Screaming Trees, Mark Lanigan. Have you ever heard of Mark Lanigan?
No.
I've heard the name, yeah. That's
I'm telling you.
You're telling me he's a murderer.
No, they only had one big song. It was called I Nearly Lost You. It came out in 1992, and it was a pretty big alternative hit, on Q101. These guys would fight. They would destroy the stage. And not a fun type of destroying the stage like Nirvana, you know?
Right.
These guys were violent dudes, and
Full G.G. Allin.
they would fight all the fucking time. And so this Mark Lanigan dude, he put out a memoir a couple years ago, and I'm listening to it right now. It's about 12 hours long on audiobook on YouTube. You can get it for free. I forgot the name of it, but just put in Mark Lanigan memoirs. Man, the stories this guy tells. If anybody murdered somebody and got away with it, it's Mark Lanigan from Screaming Trees.
Interesting. Interesting.
I just thought I would just throw that out there because
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of this book right now, and this guy has done everything except kill somebody and admit to it.
Is he still alive?
No, he died in February of this year. He just
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Done
because
recently.
now we're pretty much calling this guy out that's alive, and you're telling everyone
Imagine
in
he's
America,
defend
our
himself.
millions of viewers, that he is a murderer.
Imagine
but
he's at
he's
home.
dead now, so he can't defend
Mine-
himself, which is perfect.
that kind of reminds me of
I'm a fan of his. I love the Screaming Trees.
We like that he did that.
No.
I like their music. Don't
we
wait,
here at
wait a
Bonfire
minute.
Banter
Don't
condone
hate-
murder.
No. Everyone, stop.
Don't hate the art. Don't hate the art. Hate the artist.
Don't hate the
All right,
player,
Rob,
hate the
throw
game, man.
a disclaimer up, Rob. These guys' views do not represent Bonfire Banter.
Rob, can you see my balls over on that one shot?
What is happening?
I just realized you might be able to see my balls on this shot right here.
I thought you were just hiding candy.
I think that's to the Dahmer. I think that's all to the Dahmer theme. If your balls are showing, right? It's
yeah. He probably ate
They're
some
not in the
nuts.
freezer right now,
Yeah.
so that's good.
Yeah.
If you know, but I'm serious.
At least they're room temp currently.
Give Mark Lanigan's memoir a shot when you're driving around your car tomorrow.
Okay.
Listen to his audiobook. Fascinating stories about 90s rock and roll, alternative rock and roll. On being on the road, and he actually went. He is from the Northwest. He's from Seattle. So Screaming Trees were the predecessor to Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and all those bands. So they were around in 84, 85, about 6 or 7 years before those other bands became famous. And the first time he saw Nirvana play was at a public library in Washington State. So he tells the whole story about that. It's really cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a murderer.
Yeah. And
he might have been a murderer.
Yeah, the guy that travels across the state, country, goes to Washington State, and he's he's known for killing
Ted
someone?
Bundy. Ted Bundy.
Yeah. Well, he drove a Volkswagen Bug. He had some questionable choices.
People should have known.
Some questionable choice.
If that's what I had to bitch
driving
about
a
him as a
bug
person,
and-
that would be my
murdering people.
Rob, I don't know if you guys are going to edit this. But I have a 6th degree of separation, and I hate to say this from Ted Bundy. I actually shot a commercial in 2021 in Orlando, Florida, where he was convicted for the sorority murders. I think that's where they actually caught him.
They killed 4
And
girls in one night or something.
there's an old what do they call it? My God, I'm losing my mind. Where do you go when you go to court? A court. There's an old court.
Hey, where do you go, Grush? Where do you go grocery shopping?
Mommy,
I was gonna say church.
Go on.
I'm only good for 20 minutes. You know that. Then I start spacing out.
Long form shit for the birds.
Well, if you guys weren't rolling doobies, you clouded my mind. All right. So there's this old. Will you shut up? There's an old courthouse in Orlando, which has now been turned in to the Orlando Historical Society. Okay, and we went in there. We shot a commercial for a law firm down
I
there.
saw it was funny.
Yeah.
You did the Foley.
And there is a table right in front of the judge's thing, where he sits, and I guess Ted Bundy scratched his name into it.
Into them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But as time went on, they moved into a more like modern courthouse or whatever, because this one was like built in the 30s. So yeah.
Interesting. So they allowed him to sit there and carve his name in?
I am such an eloquent speaker.
Give yourself a pat on the back, man. You're really great.
I'll brag about anything. I don't give a shit.
I feel like every time you're on, there is a 6th degree of separation for
some-
anyone in America.
For
You have
some-
a story to
for
connect
s-
you to them.
It's the truth. I'm the new Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. That's pretty much what I think. I'm like, Mac is saying Kevin Bacon. That's like,
That's the truth.
usually what I think.
I have met so many pseudo celebrities.
So as far as, if you were Dahmer and you're going to kill a celebrity, I mean, who's, if you're going to eat a celebrity.
I can tell you right now who I'd eat.
Should we go here? I don't know.
I don't know if we should.
Yeah, maybe we cut this one. Let's maybe get off this topic.
This show needs to be delivered to the Museum of Broadcasting immediately. Immediately.
I'm not saying I'd eat a guy, but if I did,
Yeah, who would exactly. OJ released a book like that. Not
that
too
guy
long
looks
ago.
like he has
if
natural
I did
seasoning.
do
If I
it,
did do it, this is
then
what I would do, and then it was like
explains how
it was his
went down.
autobiography. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's got the name of the book is called Tiny Little Letters. If I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
By OJ.
Yeah, he's just slapping people in the face with it these days.
I mean, you can look at someone and tell if they got spice, You gotta figure out what you like.
You got spunk, kid.
you got it in you.
You got spunk, kid. He's got it.
You look like you got
got the
pepper in you,
yeah.
Oh
my.
Please do not tag me in this episode.
I'm gonna show this to my grandmother tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, on that note, I got to get to my kids' elementary school.
Yeah, okay, yeah, get over there and, hope
See
you
you
don't smoke
guys.
too
It
bad.
was nice meeting you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving us the
Are
idea.
you coming over? No?
Oh, Tony's
Come
not
on,
going to come.
Tony,
Rob,
come
Rob
on,
might
Tony.
jump in. Rob might jump in here at this in a moment here, but
Hold on a second.
I don't know if you can
This is not Macasade. I'm not Macasade.
I'm not. Hey, Matt, take it easy.
Refill my-
Absolutely. You guys can jump off, do what you gotta do.
cool.
I'll keep this
Beer,
rolling.
one
Go
second.
grab a beer, do what you gotta do.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll leave you alone then.
Absolutely. I'll do what I gotta do up here.
So this
Sorry
is
for
Halloween
being so
episode
angry.
then.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, along with Dahmer and everything.
Try to scooch in a little bit if you
Oh,
can.
sorry.
I think you're outside of his live, and we want everyone to see your face. Too. So, as far as Dahmer goes, is there anyone kind of like him? I mean, was he the only one that was like straight cannibalistic stuff? Like eating it? Because I know like Ted Gein was like taking the skin off, but was he eating the meat?
No. So I don't know if he was
ate
eating them.
anything, but he
That's
was
what I'm
making
saying.
furniture out of.
Yeah, which is a
body,
different
so-
thing. But what I'm saying was there like another famous like cannibal?
Yeah, actually, probably, in my opinion, one of the worst ones. Real piece of shit. Albert Fish.
Okay, is this who you said he was your favorite?
Albert Fish is my favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
Rob smiled too creepily.
Yeah.
That was
He used to bake people. That was my
Albert
favorite.
Fish. Well, Albert Fish is especially fucked up because a lot of his victims were kids, like young kids, and
Now I'm questioning why that's your favorite.
he actually he would
Weirdo.
he would eat the body parts with like carrots and onions like cut up and made in stew and so
To me, the most interesting part about Albert Fish is that he would write to the parents of the kids he killed
What the
afterwards.
he was a
I did not
real-
know any of this.
Well-
he
This
was
is
a
good to
pure
know.
sadomasochist.
And
He
what's
got
interesting,
off on it.
well,
too.
what's interesting about it too is that he did that as he felt as a courtesy to them. Like he was trying to do a nice thing by writing to the parents
Yeah.
and giving them explicit details of exactly what he did because he felt that they probably want closure, and he didn't think anything was wrong.
No, he knew what was wrong about it.
Well,
I think that's
yeah.
what he said.
Yeah.
I think he also, just
like-
got off on the
Got
pain
off
that
on
he
it.
was. That was his whole thing. He liked inflicting pain on
Yeah.
himself as well, but on others more so, I guess.
Yeah, people like that need to be put down.
Yeah, that's not something I don't think you can.
You can't come back from
rehab.
that.
It's just
Yeah.
you're not gonna.
How do you come back from that? I ate Charlie's leg. And,
And actually, they actually. Did, I was talking to him about it earlier. He actually, when he was also a masochist, so he would cause pain to himself. And one of the things he would do is he would stick needles into his groin area, just right in there.
I know some motherfuckers
And,
on steroids.
And he would. Some of them were so deep that they just got lost in his, groin area. And when he
The needles did?
yeah. And when he was given the electric chair, it like shorted the chair, and he had to be zapped twice because the electricity was going to the metal in his crotch. If you can look
dude.
up on Google, there's a picture of the
I heard that
X-ray.
dude had some
and
fire dick.
fucking singer. God damn.
That was a solid. That was good.
That's the clip of the night. That's
Most of the time, they're given their defense team gives them a plead insanity kind of thing,
They
right?
try
Which means
to.
they didn't. What that means is they didn't know. They had no control over what they were doing. Their disease, their whatever,
caused them.
was
Yeah.
causing them to do it. They actually had no control over it. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Are there any serial killers that you actually? I don't want to say feel bad for, but like that you actually kind of believe that okay, they were just inflicted by a terrible disease and it wasn't just their own.
The
need
woman
and
serial
drive
killer.
and
What's her
stuff
name?
like that.
Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah, her.
Well, she wasn't exact.
What was her name? What's her name?
Eileen Wuornos. The movie Monster with Charlize Theron and Christina
Oh,
Ricci. That
right.
was her.
Yeah.
And serial killers are very rarely insane. In fact, they're the opposite. They're,
Usually extremely intelligent, right?
yeah, very
Yeah.
intelligent. Very cunning, able to manipulate people, and that's what makes them good at their job. I guess it's
Their day job.
yeah. I mean, there's a few. Even you were talking about Son of Sam when he was talking about how he got orders from a dog.
Yeah.
I think that was bullshit.
Yeah, probably.
Like, he
yeah.
said all kinds of shit over the years, doing interviews, going back on his story,
Yeah.
And it's it's weird. I can't actually think of one right off the bat that was actually insane. Maybe Ed Gein, because there was something about like he was trying to replace
His mother's
his
love,
mother.
right?
Yeah. She was like very abusively overbearing to the point where when she died, he just kind of snapped.
Yeah.
And was trying to fill that void, and he did it in a very interesting way.
Well, I actually kind of put Dahmer in that category a little bit because the interesting thing about Dahmer is he didn't want to kill anybody.
He
says.
He did say that the killing was not.
And
It was controlling
evidence.
someone.
Yeah. If he didn't have to kill them, he wouldn't have. But once they wanted to leave, he then that
Come on,
separation,
sit
that
down.
whatever.
It was that.
And that's also why he tried to make a zombie. It was because he didn't want to kill him.
Right.
He just wanted to make him into a sex slave.
But that still doesn't make him.
He's not so bad.
No, that doesn't make him insane though. He still knew what he was doing when
Right.
he was doing
Right,
it.
right,
right.
That's the insanity plea, is if they were so fucking crazy that they didn't realize what they were doing.
Yeah.
These guys all knew what the fuck they were doing. I mean, they did it for years. They were
You don't
very
think any of
calculated
them,
about
any
it.
of them had something going on in their head that was causing them to do that? A disease?
Chemical imbalances
Yeah,
or something like that. There's a lot of it is past trauma. A lot of them were horribly abused themselves, and it just kind of manifested that way.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like
they all had something wrong with them,
Yeah.
but to get the actual insanity plea, that's a different story.
I feel like you pretty much like. So, I feel like most people in America pretty much grow up in abusive situations or deal with
At least have
sexual
some trauma,
trauma,
some kind
or
of
just
trauma.
some type of trauma, and you can either deal with that too, a couple ways actually. But
I mean, really, you're right. I mean, it's not so much they're insane. They made a choice, and that was the way they were going
and
to cope with
that's
it.
another thing that I always, a lot of people go through horrible things, and but what a big part of it is for them, I think, is the lack of remorse and empathy. They just don't have it. I don't know if that's psychopath, sociopath. That's the common thing between them is having no remorse, having not feeling anything,
Like the
not
Clintons.
feeling. It's
Right?
Let's not go down this path. This is about Dahmer. We're not turning this into a
I'm just saying,
political.
like, if I had to pick someone, Bill would probably be the closely related.
I see him eating a baby or two.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see him in a cult,
Once again, Bonfire Banter does not condone the opinions of our panelists.
Wait a minute, if I eat this
Bonfire
5-year-old,
banter.
I'll
Not
age
saying
10
it,
years
yeah.
less? All right. Motherfuckers are in there with candles and 6-7 guys with cloaks jerking off on each other.
Some real eyes wide
Isn't
shut.
that what
stuff,
Limp
yeah.
Bizkit was based off of?
I mean, probably.
Oh, yeah, good God.
Limp
mean-
Bizkit was based off of terrible music.
Oh,
They were based off.
They had a couple good songs.
Ruining music in
90s
the
bangers.
90s. Yeah, that's what they
Yeah,
did. But,
they had a couple good songs.
yeah, but anyway, serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lack of whatever, that empty void in them that doesn't make them feel bad about doing things. It also makes it. It's part of what makes them able to manipulate and lie to people so well, because they just.
They have no
They're
empathy, they have no
faking-
sympathy.
They're
they have
faking
nothing.
every emotion they have
Yeah.
anyway.
They're the
so-
best actors, probably, in the
Exactly.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, if you guys, I know you've read American Psycho. I'm sure most people have seen the movie, but the
Seen the
book is a lot more
Detailed.
in depth about it.
Gruesome.
And he, no,
a
they
lot
they
more
couldn't put that in any movie. But he talks about how he doesn't have one. Like, he doesn't feel anything. He fakes them all. He fakes all of it, and I think that's something that Bret Easton Ellis lifted straight from reading about serial killers, just feeling nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. To be honest, there was one thing that kind of impressed me about Dahmer, is he could crush up a bag of pills in like 2 seconds, dude. I was watching him one time. He grabbed a bag of pills, he's like, threw it in the dude's drink before the dude even came back. I'm like,
Yeah, he's-
holy shit, this guy was good.
What did he just use, like halcyon or
magician.
something?
He could get me. He'd get me.
You think he'd have it like pre-ground
Yeah,
up.
broken up.
You think
Yeah.
he'd have it all ready.
Maybe they just did that for the film, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
that's what it was. But I was impressed. I was like, dang, how'd that
Did
plastic
you,
bag not break?
Did you watch the Dahmer tapes too? It's also
Yes,
on
I did,
Netflix.
yeah.
So I haven't watched the show yet, but I watched the tapes because I like the documentary stuff more than the live.
The live action things, yeah.
I watched that, and that was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
actually went
there's
pretty
a
in-depth
lot of
into
good
that.
documentaries about these guys.
The Gacy one was really good.
The Gacy one was good. I think I mentioned it earlier. The Son of Sam. I can't remember.
Yeah, that one was really good.
But
Yeah.
talking about how he might have not acted alone. That one was good. And there was one about a guy who was convinced that his father was the Zodiac killer, and they spend like half of the episodes making a case for it, and you're watching, you're like, yeah, that dude was totally him. But then the second half of the episodes are all about how it
Probably wasn't.
probably
Yeah.
not.
Well,
But it still leaves it,
not to just be the comedic relief, but back to my point earlier, if you had to pick a shooting guard, it'd probably be the 44 caliber killer, David Berkowitz.
You wanted someone on your
Sam.
Sharpshooter.
Yeah, I mean he's clearly pretty good.
Or
You know what I mean?
Charles Whitman, the clock
Yeah.
tower sniper. If you were playing paintball, you'd want that guy on
Yeah.
your team.
Paintball.
I'd give him a room if he needed a place to stay.
Back to Kassane. Lee Harvey Oswald. Not a serial killer, obviously. He only killed.
Yeah, it was weird that was
He-
his favorite.
He
Because he wasn't a
supposedly
serial
only
killer.
killed one person.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they say about-
It's like
that's-
you didn't even know that he killed him.
Yeah.
It's not even true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you could just as easily call the guy who killed him. What the hell's his name?
Walked up in the courtroom or whatever.
John Hinckley? Was that
No,
John
no, no.
Hinckley?
Who killed Oswald?
Oh, Jack Ruby?
Jack Ruby.
Jack
I'd
Ruby,
just like
yeah.
take a second to point out the guy that killed Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a serial killer himself. That guy was in 3 kills.
Yeah, but I mean,
I mean, he killed,
Not in the same way.
but he still killed 3 people, right? That's what makes a serial
It's more
killer.
than Harvey Oswald. Like,
Yeah,
got
and that guy
numbers.
thought he
He's got
was
numbers.
right.
he's got the numbers to back it up.
This bro's putting up real numbers, man. I can't believe it.
You gotta
telling you what,
kill
that
people
dude-
like hotcakes.
That motherfucker was 3 for 3. You know, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna judge someone for being a serial killer, the only difference between them two is he just wasn't eating them. He was still killing people.
In the show, the Netflix show, they really made that scene look like Christopher Scarver was like a superhero. Like he
Yeah,
showed
they
up like
did,
Batman.
yeah.
He gave like a, like a almost a little like speech. Like he
Like
had
a-
like
yeah.
badass lines, like something Rambo would say.
Yeah.
I thought the way that scene was a little silly, but maybe that's how it went. I don't know.
So is the guy that killed Dahmer in jail? You said?
Yeah, he's still alive
yeah,
in jail.
yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Scarver.
Was there a
he
lot of like
writes-
David Caruso, like glasses
Yeah.
off moments?
Yeah.
Like,
I did some research on him.
Yeah.
He robbed someone and killed them, shop owner, and he killed 2 people, I believe, in prison. But the point is like, you know, he was like, Jeffrey, you killed people. I'm gonna kill you. It's like, hey, bro, you kind of did the same thing. You
Right.
just didn't eat them.
It was a real dramatic thing.
Well,
I guess
that's-
he was pissing everyone off in prison, making jokes and like.
Who was,
and I
Dahmer?
did- yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
I guess I had read before seeing the show. He would say shit like, you know, they're like shackling him up, and he'd be like, "Careful, I bite," you know, stuff. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And he would make like,
comedic
you know,
genius.
take his food and put ketchup all over it to make it look like dead body parts. Like this is how I did it. And I guess the other killers didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
He broke the bro code of the
right.
killers.
Hey, you went a little too much on the
Yeah,
ketchup.
bro, yeah,
a little
come
too
on.
much on the
No, it's
ketchup.
Not even
Talk
funny
about
anymore.
it, man.
He's like, we only get so much ketchup in here, bro. Like, we're gonna waste it all.
That's commissary.
Yeah,
That's all last week for a packet of ketchup.
That dude's in there trading packs of cigarettes for ketchup packets to make his jokes better.
You do anything for a laugh, you know? You
Yeah.
got to.
I mean,
I can dig that.
2 packs
I
of
can dig that.
Luckies for a packet of Heinz.
Luckies, 2 Luckies.
2 Luckies.
I'm not gonna lie. What really weirds me out about the Dahmer thing, and not just Dahmer, serial killers in general, is I sit there and I think like, you know, I think about 10 years ago I was like, I could probably do that. You know, I could probably, take a couple people out. You know,
Yeah. No.
and then thinking about it, it's like, man, I can't even kill a frog. You know, so it's-
Yeah.
so then I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, these guys are really fucked up in the head to where like you don't know what they would do to things that you necessarily hold sacred. As far as like, let's say, you know, you go out fishing, right, and you know you kill a fish and you cook it. You appreciate the fact that you're eating that fish. You appreciate the fact that you caught that fish.
Doesn't go to waste.
You appreciate its life. Same thing for hunting. We went caribou hunting last year. Killed a couple caribou in Alaska. Had a great time. But after the caribou died, we all felt very compassionate towards it. Like, man, this, you know, thank you for the food. This had a great life.
You, it's part of that
They
tradition.
don't see any of
person.
that.
That's a normal
No,
person.
Yeah, they
feels
don't feel
that.
any of
And like
that.
when people, you know, there's a crime of passion, someone loses their shit.
Yeah,
'cause their
that's
wife
not
or
the same
something.
thing.
Yeah, their wife's
No,
going
it's-
around.
Those
or
guys get
something.
off like 90% of the time. If you like kill someone and like someone raped your daughter and then you go kill them, you're not gonna get much time.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
mean-
mean, you probably shouldn't. If that's
You
the
shouldn't.
case.
No,
I feel like people who
I think it's
kill-
great when you get let off. on
Probably why
something
I'm
like
not
that.
a judge.
Yeah, I'd be letting everybody.
I'll
If,
be like,
if
I
you
get
came
that.
across like you
Cut you off in traffic.
you
I
killed
get
your
it.
killer, your kid's murderer.
Okay.
That's fair game,
fair
dude.
game, yeah.
Eye for an eye, bro. Like,
That's kinda like if
you
someone-
gotta die now, like by my hands.
Exactly.
Well, but that goes back to what you were just saying. That guy killed Dahmer in prison. It's like, bro, you're just as bad.
Yeah,
as him.
you're just as bad.
Well,
Yeah.
as the state, as a government, we're executing people. Is that also the same
I don't know.
thing?
People who
mean,
are
like,
raping kids need
Well,
to be
that
killed.
also.
Yeah.
I think he said it already too. It's like
And not as humanely as they do either.
Yeah.
a lot of these people. I don't think anyway that they can be rehabilitated.
No.
That they wouldn't. You know,
Yeah.
if they were let loose, that they wouldn't. A lot of times these guys get jail time early on. Are released from the crime, you know,
Yeah.
they did their time, and then they do their worst shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because again,
It happens a lot
they're
if they
faking
do.
everything,
Yeah,
so they can
Right,
fake good behavior in
exactly.
prison for
They
a couple
can
years and
fake
say,
remorse,
"Look, I'm rehabilitated.
Yeah.
I went to all the classes. I sat in the church and I prayed and everything. You guys saw me do it.
Well, that kind of
Look,
reminds me.
I'm better. You know?
Yep.
Could.
Yeah. Well, most of them probably do.
That
I mean,
reminds me of John Wayne.
if you have
Gacy
no
and
emotions,
Dahmer.
then that's not a hard thing to fake. Of like
Yeah.
trying to get better in jail, behaving yourself.
David
Yeah.
Berkowitz, like
Yeah.
I saw this thing. I found it on YouTube years ago, I think, where it was a TV show for some Christian program, and it was about David Berkowitz finding God, and like it was
Really?
yeah, like
Good
if,
for
if
him.
this guy can get saved, anyone can be saved. But the dude is full of shit. I mean, I'd
Saved in what capacity?
Yeah,
Like, what are
weird
you
way to
talking
market.
about?
That's
a
weird
lot of time to kill in
That's
prison
such
when
a-
you can't indulge your, need to kill people.
So that's actually the basis of, if we got any comic book fans out there, the Dark Knight comic book series, not the movie The Dark Knight, but the actual graphic novel The Dark Knight.
The Frank
That's
Miller
the story. The Frank Miller. It starts out the Joker's in jail, and a psychiatrist and people like basically convince everybody, oh no, he's fine now, and he goes on TV shows, and everyone like they basically let him out. Like he convinced everybody that he was sane again, and he's obviously not sane. He's the Joker,
Yeah, he's crazy.
But that's actually the basis of that whole story. And like Batman's like, dude, you can't let this guy, or Bruce Wayne, whoever, can't let this
Batman's
guy
like, bro,
I actually
Chill out, bro.
As far as like
Dude.
people who are
Convince people.
murderers or like rapists, to me those people just I don't even think they need to go to prison. Just
No, I think it
End
should
it.
be. I think it should be like a shooting.
I don't want to pay my
like a
tax
shooting
money to
squad or
it.
whatever.
End them, call it a day. They're gonna live in prison for 60, 70 years for not rapists. If
So
you
then,
look
so
at
then how do you say, how does us as a society say you can't kill people, but then when you do something wrong, we then kill you?
Well, because you need to be put out. You're like
That's
a dog
true.
with rabies.
That's true, but yeah,
you
some
know, the
people
people
just
that you
don't
killed
them.
did not deserve
I'm not
it.
saying I agree or
guess-
disagree. I'm just giving the.
No, that's a good point.
counter
That's a good
You're
point.
Right.
rehabilitated. I don't know what
I
that
guess
word
it's
was.
circumstantial. It's
It justifies it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think a guy who kills and eats people for
Yes.
fun.
You're not
Probably be
coming
killed.
back.
You should probably there's
Or you
some
should kill them and
people-
eat them. Which
Don't
one?
let them go to waste. I mean, it's
No, that might make you crazy. It's like
You
getting
might get a
bit
4-course
by the
meal like
spider.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
You turn into Spider-Man. You know? It's
You
like, I
eat
don't know.
Jeffrey Dahmer, you
You
get
eat
every
Jeffrey
taste
Dahmer,
of
you
the world.
turn into a serial killer.
Nino A1 steak sauce.
You eat
man.
Jeffrey Dahmer, you're like, this kind of tastes a little bit of Asian. Oh, this one tastes African.
That's a little note of Mexican in there.
Yeah, well, this is all
Some
over
nice spices there. Is that feta in there?
Did you ever watch? Did you guys ever watch Hannibal, the series?
A little
Was it
bit.
a show series?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There was there were scenes where it shows Hannibal Lecter like cooking meals that are human meat.
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
thing, I
And
think
then he feeds them to people and they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they use like lamb meat and pork and stuff like that for to film those scenes. But even though it was supposed to be human meat in the show, damn, it looked good.
I will
did
tell you.
look good.
I will
The
tell you
way
one
he
thing.
was cooking it, he was a culinary.
And you guys can look this up
genius.
as well. There is a place in California that serves human meat.
Really?
Not a
Where's
joke.
that
It's
at?
called the Cannibal Club. You can look it up in LA.
Is it like
Check it out.
Do you have to pay a membership fee?
You gonna
How does
No,
this work?
I'm dead serious. Look it up. It was not too long ago. I called the Cannibal Club. And it said
Do we have to pay a membership fee?
there's some kind of regulations, but dude, I'm telling you, these people
think
are
there's-
these weird people out
Is
there,
it like
man.
hostel, like where people go and pay a lot of money to do
I don't
some
know.
weird
Are you
shit?
sure this isn't?
Should we Google this? Or?
I don't know.
Are you sure this isn't
Yeah,
like
Google it. Google
Are you
it.
sure it's
I
not
want to
just
know.
like a sting?
It was definitely tied into when I was getting deep into the QAnon, so but I did search it. But I did search it. I googled it, and it came up.
It's
So
probably
it's probably one of those things.
Yeah, well, it's, I don't know. Maybe they made the website.
This site cannot be reached.
Oh, okay. Well,
I would like to
Maybe
know.
it got
'cause I'm
taken
looking
down.
for
Maybe
new
they got
vacation
shut down.
spots, you know?
obviously.
So,
no, I don't know, man.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Should be good.
I mean, like maybe they just set that up as a sting to catch people. Like all of a sudden, that
Possibly.
guy from To Catch
Yeah.
the Predator comes around the corner with the
Yeah.
Chris
clipboard.
Hansen.
Were you trying to eat
Hey,
human
how's it
meat today,
going?
sir?
Yeah,
Chris
are you
Hansen.
trying to get some human meat?
Hey, is your username eatme365?
What's with the wine coolers that you brought there? Duct tape.
There was that fucking,
You got a hot plate there, I noticed too. Why do you have a hot plate? We cook it here. You don't gotta cook it, bro.
there was that guy in Germany, and once again forgetting his name, but he found someone
Hitler.
in like some that was his name. It was his cousin, John Hitler. Yeah, but
Terry.
Hitler wasn't. I feel like Hitler is a little.
You smell potatoes or what?
I just don't feel like he was that big of a deal,
Anyway.
Like, he killed a lot of people, but so
Germany.
did Stalin and.
Yeah,
John
he didn't,
Dahmer.
Stalin killed more.
physically kill him.
Stalin killed more.
So
Yeah.
there was a guy in
Yeah,
Germany
exactly, right?
who
That's what I'm saying.
who
He's
found
not
like
that big.
like a chat room, and he found someone to willingly let him kill him and eat him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Say this
it was-
again?
There was a guy in Germany, and I forget his name, but he found someone in like an ad or some kind of chat room or something, in like some
Newspaper ad?
I'm guessing deep web shit.
Yeah.
And he found someone who was willingly willingly
Wanting to be
wanted to
eaten.
let him kill him and eat him.
That's not just Germany. That's everywhere. They've made documentaries about it. You got to see it, dude. It's crazy.
But this one was like
People literally
This is the most
sign
famous
up.
one, and I'm forgetting the guy's name and everything. But yeah, he killed the one guy, and there was big trial over it, and the guy
Did he get off?
consented. He
hey, it's his.
consented.
It's
Did he
his,
get off
It's
with
his
the charge?
body.
It's like an organ donor.
No,
kinda.
I don't think he did.
Yeah, it's his.
I mean,
yeah,
at that
pretty
point,
much.
you kind of got to let someone off, right?
There was
Well, what if he
consent.
kills? What if he kills himself though?
Right.
Did he kill himself, and then the guy consented to eat him?
Well, he would have to have killed himself.
Right? Because you can't
I
kill
don't think so.
someone.
I think he wanted to be. The whole deal was the guy was going to kill him. It
Yeah,
was
what
a-
do you do in that
It was a
situation?
package deal.
It was a package. It was a bundle. They call it a bundle.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not up on the new trends.
Yeah. It's cheaper that way. Like if you get them separate, if you you just want to kill me or you just want to eat me, it's gonna be more expensive to them individually. But if you do it together, I'm gonna give you a little break on the price.
Right.
You know.
Right.
How would
That
you
kind
deal
of
with it?
scenario.
Buy in bulk.
Might
That's,
as well. Deal with what?
How would you deal if,
Like
if I
Sam's
came to you and I was like, hey, bro, I want you to kill me and eat me, right? And you were kind of interested in doing it. Would you do it?
kind of.
No, you hesitated, man. You hesitated.
You did hesitate. You did hesitate. I'm kind of feeling like you're going to eat me now.
Yeah, dude.
My answer's yes.
That's just
No
fuck
hesitation.
yes.
Now, if I do I gain your abilities and knowledge and power if I do it?
We don't know.
No.
That's the experiment.
You get diarrhea.
Now you skip the shit
get
for
that nastiest diarrhea.
I don't need to eat it. I don't need to munch on a dude to,
Yeah.
If that was the case, North
get diarrhea,
Korea, they'd
okay.
be like 100 Gokus just coming to fight you. They'd just all be powered up from eating the peasants in the country.
Is that what they do?
Ball Z joke.
I'm sure they do. It's North Korea.
I was like, I don't know where this conversation. I don't even know what the carry little things you're talking about. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy though. I guess.
No, Goku's. I'm not either. Goku's like the main guy, and he always powers up. So I just figure you eat someone, you just
then you
power
power
up.
up.
It's like
Yeah.
Popeye with his spinach.
There we go.
It's kind of like a
This is-
mushroom
I
in
understand
Super
that.
Mario World.
Yeah. See, now this is something we understand.
You eat a
Thank
dick, you power up.
Oh, yeah.
Because it looks like a mushroom.
There we go. Oh.
Yeah, it looks like a mushroom.
I mean, listen, Justin is delicious, and I think that's where we should end it here tonight.
Yeah. I think we
got
did.
enough.
Yeah.
I think we've got enough content with this
I
stuff.
don't know why. I just got extremely turned on.
Yeah. Well, that's normally the reaction people have when they sit
Now
next to me
it's
on the
time
show.
for the after party.
Absolutely. Call up the Cannibal Club, see if they deliver.
I'll
All
get the
right.
hot plate.
Yeah, get the hot plate.
Remember,
Hey,
here at Bonfire Banter, we condone murder.
no. Don't say that. We don't condone murder.
it.
No, we don't condone
Trying to
murder.
make money.
We only
No,
people with
time-
glimpses. It's not a big deal.
Yes. No, listen. This is Timmy the Red.
Hi.
Thank you for being on. Austin Grimes, plug yourself on your social media. What
Thank
do you
you.
got?
It's just Grimes Live on everything.
Grimes Live
Yep,
on
Grimes
everything.
Live.
That camera. Look at it.
Grimes Live, at Grimes Live, TikTok, YouTube, everything. You'll find
Boom. Check him out. That's Rob Brown,
And yeah,
the man with the most.
Yep. And happy Halloween, everybody. This
Happy
is,
Halloween. Yep.
So enjoy that.
We might have some content the day before or the day of. We might be doing something fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to say anything yet. We'll see what we do, but there might be a live
sure.
popping up.
For sure. We just wanted to do because if you remember the very first Halloween episode we ever did
Tie it all back.
2 years ago, we talked about horror movies. And that
Richie was
with
out,
Richie
Persenico.
and 100%ico and Jay Minty Nasca.
And then Wes's buddy,
What?
Chris.
Chris Kuntz.
Chris Cunts.
That's not his name.
That's not his name. Are you
It
sure?
is now,
Kuntz?
dude. It's his name.
Yeah, you
forever.
just said a bad word.
No, I didn't because I didn't mean to
probably
say the bad
Kuntz.
word. So I get a
I
pass
thought it was
on
like
that.
a nickname.
I get a
Like Johnny
pass.
Fuckface.
I've
Anyway,
dated a couple cunts in my life.
anyway.
This isn't Britain, dude. We can't say that word.
I've dated a couple.
Okay, go.
Anyway, when we did that episode, we were talking about movies. We said we should do a serial killer episode.
Yes, that was
So
2 years
now,
ago.
2 years later, we
Yes.
finally did it. So thank you.
And now
guys
you've
for joining
seen it.
us.
I hope you
And
enjoyed it.
We'll see you to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Well, keep stoking those fires and don't deplatform us. Thanks.
Go to church.
We'll see you soon.
All right.
We're out.